I was attempting to watch TV and prepare for Shabbat dinner tonight, and I was like slicing my vegetables and chopping potatoes and everything like that. And I put on a movie, and I won't use names of movie names, which is absolutely unnecessary because there are so many movies where the Lord's name is used in vain. I decided some time ago that I would no longer watch television shows or movies that use the Lord's name in vain because it just pricked my heart. Let's talk about it today on this episode. You're listening to Measure of Royalty. I'm your host, prophetic licensed mental health counselor Tenisam. Thank you for tuning in again. Today I'm kind of frustrated. I'm just like venting and annoyed and bothered in my spirit. I've been trying to be more consciously aware of the things that I'm consuming because what we put in is what comes out, or what we allow to pass will continue to crowd our worldview, crowd our judgment. And I realized somewhere along the way that I am constantly being bombarded with feelings of frustration about hmm, how many TV shows are using the Lord's name in vain, or how many even faith based television shows that say that they're faith based, that do not biblically accurately depict the stories of the Bible. Like, are the narratives of the Bible not um deep enough, not wide enough, not honest enough, not crazy enough to use it? I don't understand. How did we get to a place where as Christians it's okay to misrepresent biblical narratives? I decided I'm going to no longer watch any television shows or any movies or any miniseries that either one depict things in the Bible wrong, or they misuse the name of Jesus. And it reminded me of a heretic. A heretic is a person who holds beliefs, teachings, or opinions that strongly oppose or contradict the official doctrine accepted by a religious group or establishment. Does it contradict who I am as a Christian to watch a TV series about the life of Christ that has new added characters with major roles? Was not what Jesus did on this earth important enough, or well enough written, or clearly established enough for us to tell that story and tell it in totality? If this is supposed to be a way that we are reaching the nations, why are we reaching it with slander and with lies? Why are we introducing new people into the faith by deceptive tactics? And it burned me up. Revelations chapter 22 says that there is a reward, a consequence, for those who add to the word and take away from the word. And the reward is damnation. But what are we who observe or are bystanders as the word goes forth. Because I really don't think it was non-Christians who were the first people in the seats watching new episodes of these shows that come out during, holiday seasons, over winter break, and over Resurrection Sunday, like spring break time. Christians are the ones going out in droves to watch and quote unquote enjoy false narratives of the gospel. We are watching, enjoying, drinking Coke and eating popcorn and snacks to the heretical destruction of the Word of God. Now, one, do we know that we're actually watching something that doesn't have anything to do with what the Bible said? Or have we not opened our Bibles and now our version of that narrative is skewed? There are certain things that we can uncover about the Word of God as Christians. But when we muddy the water with lies by adding characters and narratives that never existed, we create confusion. And I don't have to tell you who the author of confusion is. How did the enemy get into the camp? And why are we participating? There was a movie that came out some time ago. It was called The House with the Clock in the Walls. I don't know if any of you have seen it or heard of it. And I'm specifically referencing this movie because it was something that happened pinnacly in my family. I took my kids to go and see that movie. It was a children's movie, a movie for families. And as we were watching it, the movie quickly, I don't know, maybe not quickly, semi quickly revealed itself to be demonic. And I looked over at my kids and they were looking at me. And my son, who was 10, I believe at the time, said, "We need to go." This movie is demonic. That's witchcraft. And we need to leave. And I would have thought, I was so proud of him. But my first thought was, but I paid for us to be here. It's like, what, $45 for us to be here. That was my first thought. But I couldn't let my son down in that moment. So we did leave. And I was able to get a refund because it was less than halfway through the movie. But I didn't want to leave because I put my money on it. And that's a little bit embarrassing to say, but it's just true. When we pay for these streaming services, we want to be able to watch whatever we want to watch freely. And so whenever I am trying to just relax, I just want to relax. I had a long day. I'm just going to sit down and watch a couple hours of television before I get ready to go to bed or whatever has to happen in that day. And I am confronted in the first 5 minutes, somebody using the Lord's name in vain, using Jesus's name as a actual curse word, using God's name as a form of attack towards someone. I'm so frustrated. One point I spoke to myself because it just started piercing my heart. And I started thinking like, well, what if I just decided not to watch anything that used the Lord's name in vain at all? Just cut out everything. The first time that a show used the Lord's name in vain, I would just cut the show off. That simultaneously with if I'm watching a Christian based television show or movie, the first lie that the movie tells, I just cut it off. Now, this is hard. It was a very difficult, it is a very difficult challenge that I'm trying to work my way through. I'm trying to navigate this decision because I feel like it's the right thing to do because my heart was being pricked every time I heard someone misuse the Lord's name. And I found myself being angered at these seasonal TV shows and these seasonal movies, these mini series, and that were just not telling the truth, that were these heretics that have crowded their way into our hearts, who say that they're making content for Christians. They're making content to lead Christians astray. That's what those that's what those things are. If you want to know the narratives of the Bible, if you want to lead people to Christ, read the Bible and write the story. There's no need to change anyone's names, any facts, any identity. I've seen it for years and years with Noah's Ark. People who aren't even Christian. Okay, God can use who he will use. That's fine. But why are we changing the words? I already said at the top of this conversation that Revelation 22 tells us that there is a reward for the heretic. There is a reward for adding or taking away. But what about us who stand by? Are we part of the problem? What would happen if we all, as Christians, stopped watching anything that was heretical in nature, that used the Lord's name in vain? Because you know what happens? I'm watching a movie, it's really, really good. I get 32 minutes into the movie, and there goes the name of the Lord, just as a curse word, as angered, as a bitter person. And I'm like, man, I was really watching that. And so then I say, well, it was just one time. It was one time. Maybe they're not going to say it again. And inevitably, they're going to say it again. But my question consistently becomes, why didn't they say that they were going to use the name of the Lord up front? And why is it always my God's name being used as a curse word? Why aren't they cursing the name of Allah or Vishti or Krishna? Why does it have to be my God always? If all these other gods are so great and powerful and deserve equal respect, why don't I hear them disrespecting any of them? So frustrating. Because I'm like, man, this is a good movie. Or this is a good TV show. Or I'll be watching a TV show. There was a TV show, it was supposed to be a show about a husband who was a pastor, a wife who was a first lady, and their children. And I'm like, okay, great. We're off to a great start. By the end of season 2, they were talking about divination. They were talking to people who had passed away and their past loved ones and having conversations with them, which is divination or necromancy, to be specific. And then at the beginning of the 3rd season, because yeah, I stuck around, they already had me invested for 2 seasons prior to that. I'm not making excuses. I'm just keeping it real. I'm telling you my own faults and flaws. So I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay, maybe that was the end of the season and they're done with that. But no, the end of the season was an introduction to where the show was moving to. And I paid close attention because what happened was at the end of the second season, the show actually got picked up by a larger name, like Paramount. And so when they got picked up by Paramount, Paramount's agenda became part of what was in the show. And what Paramount was okay with, and what it seems like, is actually influencing and asking people and making it a requirement that people use the Lord's name in vain, that they curse God or try to. I'll say it, let me be clear. They can try if they want to. They're really only cursing themselves. But what are we doing by watching and consuming shows that will take our God's name in vain and standing by, continuing to purchase, continuing to listen, continuing to go out and buy tickets in droves? God is not the author of confusion. I went through, what was that, today? There's probably 3 movies that I tried to watch because in my preparations for the Sabbath, I like to do all of the laundry in the house and I like to do my meal prep earlier in the day so that I can just cook and be done in the evening, later in the evening towards sundown. And so I'm sitting on the couch and I'm chopping my vegetables and I'm trying to find something. I'm folding my clothes, I'm washing clothes, sorting clothes, whatever, trying to find something to watch, just, to entertain me while I get this work done. I went through about 3 different movies in the first 5 minutes. One of them, boom, already used the Lord's name in vain. Another one, 25 minutes in, boom, used the Lord's name in vain. Another one, I was on the second episode of a show, boom, use the Lord's name in vain. And my daughter, in the third one, because I told my kids like what I was planning on doing, and I'm modeling it for them. I don't know if they do it or not. I'm not keeping tabs on them that way. I'm trying to set an example. So I told them what I was intending to do. And for the third thing, my daughter was there. And she was like, "Oh, Mom, I guess you got to turn it off." And she said it in such a condescending way. And I told her that. I'm like, don't be condescending about what I'm doing for the Lord. It's something, it pricks my heart when I hear people using the name of the Lord as a curse word. I mean, it's so insulting. And I told her, "You're insulting me." I said, "You said that like, you're like, yeah, right. You've been watching the show for like 2 episodes already. You're not going to keep going." And I was like, "No, I have to let it go." And not only did I let it go, I put a thumbs down on it so that it didn't recommend it at some later time because it was a good show. I was enjoying it. But I have to enjoy and appreciate my relationship with God so much more. And it's so hard. Shows that I have watched for years, just can't watch them anymore. It breaks my heart. And I wanted to talk to you all about how to move away from that. I'm not really sure. I'm just saying we have to. We cannot let our faith be run by people who say they are Christians, because that is not the fruit of a good tree. Jesus tells us to know them by their fruit. If we are listening and observing the content of people who know and trust and love the Lord, then their fruit will be righteous. And taking the Lord's name in vain, I don't know. I know there are some people who go to extremes and say, "I cut out Netflix or I cut out Hulu." I'll say there are a lot of things on HBO that I won't watch, or Apple TV for sure. Also, partly why I'm considering leaving Apple altogether. Um, but I've had my phones for years now. Um, so really, these products don't even, like, I'm not even paying Apple for the phone or the tablet anymore. But when it's time for me to get a new phone, I've decided it's time for me to leave them because they use the Lord's name in vain so heavily. I mean, there isn't one show that Apple has that does not use the Lord's name in vain. There just isn't. I tried Apple TV when I got like an offer for a free subscription. And I was like, oh, I can't even watch this. And that was before I decided like to stop watching anything that used the Lord's name in vain. It was just too heavy. But it also opened my eyes and made me see that that was what was prevalent and that was what was around and that was what television was. And now that my eyes have been opened, I'll even go back and watch things from the 80s or the 90s and see that they were doing it then, introducing necromancy, divination, tarot cards, manifestation, sage burning, palm reading. All these things were being introduced, crystals, um, the power and the authority of the dark world were being introduced back then. But I was blind. I mean, I was also young, but as I look back, I was blind. And I'm like, man, I can't watch this show from like 1992 that I shouldn't have been watching in 1992. My mom didn't see this. Nobody saw this. Nobody recognized this. We have to get away from all of these things. How? I don't know. We can't sit under lies. Read books more. Talk to friends more. Hang out with people you love and know more. Get out and do more activities. Find your connections. Find your community. Be engaged with one another. Should you go to extremes and get rid of Netflix, get rid of Hulu, get rid of these places or things? That's for each individual to decide. I've gone back and forth myself. I don't know where I'll land. And I'm saying that to be honest, because I enjoy watching TV and relaxing. But what is it worth? So, no, I don't know what the movie David is about. And no, I don't know what the Chosen is about. And no, I don't know what that new Resurrection movie was about that came out from the people who wrote The Chosen. No, I don't know any of those things because I've given up on heretics. I won't watch it. I won't partake. And so this is your call. Your call to action, call to realizing what it is that you have been participating in. I had to realize it. I'm realizing it. And I still don't really know what I will do. But I know that I can't stay where I am because I see. All right. Well, today's episode wasn't very positive or uplifting, but I hope that it was encouraging and that you heard something that was useful for your faith journey. Please leave a message, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Share this with someone who you think it will bless. Either way, we'll talk again next week. And you're listening to Measure of Royalty. I'm your host, prophetic licensed mental health counselor, and I hope to see you soon. Shabbat Shalom.